So it's another Monday, and that means another episode of What Are You Doing? Yes, this is a show where we spotlight you, the woodworker, and what you're making in your shop. Now, I have to apologize. Last week, a new viewer sent in a project that he was working on, and it was pretty nice, it was pretty impressive, but I couldn't post it because he forgot to give me his name. I just had his email address. So I asked for his name, and of course I got it, and it passed the deadline to make last week's episode. But at any rate, I'd like to welcome Frank Howard to the show. And Frank made this zebra wood coffee cup for his wife. And I've always actually wanted to make a cup, or actually a beer mug, out of wood. And I've got a couple of plans, a couple of ideas. I've just never had the time to get around to it. So I thought it was pretty neat that Frank was able to do that. And he says his wife actually drinks coffee out of it all the time. I wondered if the hot coffee hitting the wood, causing to expand or contract or anything ever was an issue. And he said no, it's never cracked, it's never leaked. He said, however, though, you obviously shouldn't put it in the dishwasher, and probably not a good idea for the microwave, he said. But at any rate, Frank, thank you so much for watching the show and now being a participant in it, and I apologize for last week. Moving on, Hal Singer. Hal made a message board for the Boy Scouts, and he said it's there, I guess at the campground or the parks or whatever that they use. He said this is the way they could put assignments on there. It's an eraser board. And he said he was able to do it out of some privacy fencing that he did. And I think he just framed it out in some pine. So he's able to move this from place to place if need be. And, it's not a huge project, but nonetheless, it's something that he was able to do. And I'm sure the boys in the troops saw him do it or can appreciate the fact that he did it. And who knows, maybe they'll be doing some future woodworking projects there over at Troop 845. So, woo-woo! But anyway, thanks, Hal, for sending that in. Brad Soulchin. Now, last week, Brad sent in some photos of the project in progress. He was making a chalkboard for his daughter. His daughter found something on Pinterest, and he kind of took the different photos of what she saw and modified it in his own way. He made it out of pine and stained it, and it had little hooks on it too for the kids' coats. And what I liked, they had I didn't realize it from last week's photos. We got these little cubby holes for the kids to put the phones in, or I was going to say wallets, but kids probably don't have wallets anymore. But anyway, it looks real nice. I'm sure that's going in the mudroom. And he'll probably have it done here next week, and we'll see it probably hanging in place. So thank you, Brad. Let's see, Tom Bertino. I believe Tom is new. Bertino. I'm going with Bertino. He made this, and I thought this was really cool. He made this tiki bar for his backyard. And he said he also has a goldfish pond back there with a little waterfall. But what I really liked about his tiki bar was my brother has this phenomenal pool, a really cool pool. And I always feel like I'm at this holiday resort of some sort when I'm in the pool. And I wanted to make for him a smaller version of what Tom did, like a floating tiki bar. Probably have to put an anchor on it, and so you could swim to the center of the pool and mix yourself a drink. Not a good idea with kids, though. Let me just throw that out there. But nonetheless, I really liked the look of what Tom made. It was pretty cool, and Tom, I might be emailing you to pick your brain on how you did some of that structure. So thank you. Oh, okay. So this next one was a really good laugh for me. So Jeff Lieby had a customer come up to him, and it had a broken broken drawer. I think it was I don't know if it was the side or back busted out. I don't remember. But, you know, I'm sure most of you have had this when the neighbors and friends and family find out that you're a woodworker. They're bringing you stuff to repair. And that's exactly what happened here. And as Jeff turned it over and looked at the bottom, you can see all this excessive glue from the factory. Because, I mean, it's a cheap drawer. It's particle board and, you know, it's probably glued and caulked together. And if it's a kid's dresser, they're just going to get excessive wear and tear. And so it broke, and when he saw the bottom just all glued up like that, I was teasing with Jeff. It was probably a Friday at the factory, and they just didn't care. But anyhow, Jeff quoted him a price for a whole new drawer, because let's face it, you fix that and something else is going to break on it. And the guy agreed to it, so, you know, Jeff got a little job out of it. So great job, Jeff. Thanks for the laugh. Kevin Enlow. Kevin last week was making some of the cornhole boards, or cornhole game, and he had it done. He was waiting on the customer to pick a stain, and I told him that's always kind of the hard part, is customers to choose colors, but evidently it didn't take too long. And this is a job that he's doing for a customer. I thought at first maybe it was for him or some family, but no, he's doing this for a customer, and he's getting ready now to put the polyurethane on it. And I was curious if he was using an exterior poly, which probably would recommend you know, one with like ultraviolet protection or UV ray protection, just so it can hold up a little bit better to the heat sitting out there in the sun. And it'll also help from that color, the stain fading in time. So I would recommend that, but I'll be curious to hear what Kevin used on it. So thank you, Kevin. All right, I'm getting to know this guy pretty well, Mark Fitzsimons, over there in Ireland. And that's what I love about this show, is getting so many entries from you folks, no matter where you live. It's great. But Mark is, I think last week I was showing you this house that he was working on. He's made 31 doors for this place. He's doing all the paneling and the wainscoting in it. And so he said the customers are pretty easy to work with. I've dealt with some at that level, and are usually working with an architect, and an architect will take absolutely no input from you as the woodworker. And it sounds like Mark's dealing directly with the homeowner, because a couple of the panels on the wainscoting were flat, and he suggested, hey, how about some raised panels? And they said, excellent, that sounds great. And Mark's like, it'll make it look even better. And then Mark quickly was regretting that as he was in the shop making all of those raised panels for it. But anyways, he sent me some photos. I had to pass it on to you guys. This house is amazing. That's just simply incredible. And as Mark said, it's a dream job to be working on. It's something that definitely looks good on the resume. So, at any rate, Mark, keep up the good work. Send in more of those photos as you get them. Chris Powell. Chris has watched the show. I've seen him comment several times. I think this is his first time sending in a photo for this show. So thank you, Chris. And Chris is also making cornhole boards for a customer as well. Maybe I should start considering making those. But at any rate, he made his out of reclaimed spruce, and he's got teak inlay on it. The legs are mahogany, and he said there's like no fasteners to it. It's all joinery constructed, and it just looks really nice. It almost looks too nice to play on. But what I thought was cool about this too was his wife made the bean bags to go with it. So it truly was a couple project there for this customer. So excellent job, Chris. Looks fantastic, and hope to see more of your work right here on the show. Tony Roberts. Tony made a series of jewelry boxes before for his wife and friends and so on, and he really enjoyed making the jewelry boxes. and then he had a friend come to him and ask if he could make a Hindu spiritual center. And I'm sure most of you are going, what? So Tony had to, do some research and look it up, and he didn't feel he could do it. He thought it was too complicated, and without getting on religion or any subject or whatever, I mean, this is where your woodworking should be at its best. When you're representing someone's faith, you really want to put forth your best craftsmanship for whatever their faith might be. And so Tony just wasn't sure if he could do it. And he said, watching this show, and we mentioned on the show about trying to push yourself out of your comfort zones, and it will make you a better woodworker. It's the best thing you can do is get out of your comfort zone. And Tony agreed to it. And I think it's fantastic. I know that the person, he said that the person he made it for really appreciated it. I really thought it looked cool. I'm not of Hindu faith, but boy, seeing stuff like that would make me want to look at it some more. So anyhow, a very nice project. And I do want to say on this whole subject of getting out of comfort zones, I'm going to put below in the description, I did a video over on the Just Plain Board series I do, which I haven't done one in a while, but I did a little video on that about getting out of comfort zones. And I also did an extended, in-depth version of that in blogs. I did a 4-part series blogs about getting out of comfort zones. And the biggest problem most people have with comfort zones is time. They don't have enough time. They say they don't have enough tools. They'll say that they don't have good enough technique. And then they also say that they just lack imagination and creativity. So each blog addresses those issues on how you can get yourself out of that and advance in woodworking. Okay, so moving on, let's see then the next page we have here. Jeffrey Stewart. Jeffrey last week, for the first time, sent in some photos to us. He did that horse. He made that horse from a poster in a movie. And this time, Jeffrey sent in his first project that he made back in high school. Or maybe it was or junior high. Sorry, Jeffrey, I forget. But it was his first project, and he said he wasn't really sure what it was intended for. He said his mother had it in her kitchen until when she passed away, and now he has it again. But looking at it, to me, it looks a little bit historical of a shaker piece. And so you can see that there's a big opening on top and a drawer underneath. And it probably was for putting the shakers had pipes, and they would put the pipes in it, and the drawer either held the tobacco or possibly some matches. Even it could be for matches were a limited thing back then. We take them for granted now in lighters, but matches were pretty expensive, and when you don't have electricity and you have candles in your house, you certainly don't want to waste your matches. So there was a thing called a spill plane, and the spill plane did one thing. As it made the shaving, the angle that the blade would hit the wood, it would make this long spiral shaving. And they would save those, and the woodworkers would even sell them, would save them. And so you put these long spindle shavings in a box like that. That way when it is time to light the candles at the end of the day, you use one match, you light that long shaving, and then you use that shaving to go around and light your other candles. So at any rate, pretty neat little piece you got there, Jeffrey, and maybe you can add this little historical shaker story to it. Okay, Brad Holland. Brad, last week, again, was another new person, and I believe he's down there in Australia. And he made, if you remember last week, he did kind of an artistic piece, an artistic project, where he made a wooden donut. And I'm calling it a donut. It might be called something else. I don't mean that as disrespect. But anyway, it was very unique, kind of a conversation piece. Well, this week, Brad is showing that he made this. And at first glance, I'm like, he sent me the wrong photo. He sent me a photo of a soccer ball. And he made it because he loves soccer and the whole World Cup and everything. But no, it's all made out of wood. And, I mean, I like geometry, but making that would be enough for my head to explode. And so anyway, I thought it was pretty cool. Again, it's kind of an art piece. You certainly wouldn't want to try kicking that around the yard. But nonetheless, cool. It's really cool. This is what I like, is seeing what makes you all tick, and how something like soccer, you can relate it to woodworking. And of course, there's math involved in that one. So anyway, thank you, Brad, for sending that in and possibly inspiring others. Frank Porter. So Frank has been watching our series here on hand-cut dovetails, and he sent in a couple of pictures of some boxes, jewelry boxes that he did and have dovetails on it. Now, I kind of felt bad. He said almost like a disclaimer that he did use a machine to cut the dovetails. And I want it said right now, I am not upset however you guys do your woodworking. You know, if you prefer machines or if you prefer hand tools, if you like the exotic woods or if you like pallets, there's no reason to justify anything to me. I'm cool with all of it, okay? So I just kind of had to chuckle over that a little bit, Frank, because by no means am I like grading you here and you got a C for it. But Frank did say after watching the Dovetail series that he definitely feels he can try making them by hand with some confidence, and so that's great. So if you do it, Frank, send me a photo. I want to see your first dovetail, and I don't have to show it here on the show. I'm just curious how it worked for you. All right, so David Bishop. David, you remember last week was our viewer spotlight of the week, and he thanked me. He said many of you went over to his website or his video shows and were watching. So thank you to all you viewers for helping support our other viewers on the show. And what I liked about David here, it's a simple looking picture. He said he's just starting a new project. He's going to be making a monster truck. And so at first glance, you might look at it and go, whoop-de-doo, it's a round piece of wood. But what I liked about it, I don't really do little wooden toys and whatnot. And what I liked about it is, he used two hole saws, one to, make the outer shape of the actual tire size. And then I like how he used a smaller hole saw there to kind of designate like the rim. So I kind of never really thought of that. So something as simple as a round piece of wood now just went into my memory as something possibly I can use on another project somewhere in the future. So thank you, David, and that should be a note to everyone out there. Don't be ashamed or intimidated no matter where you're at on your project. Send in your photos. And what's cool about this is that's the very first photo of the project, so we are going to be watching this monster truck come to life here on the show. And I'm sure Dave is going to have a video on it when he's done anyways, but it's just kind of fun. Thank you. All right, my man, Kevin Delk. I told you before, I don't think Kevin's ever missed an episode here other than when I forgot to put it in. And Kevin, I don't even think it was a month ago, he had a customer ask him to make a table, a long table, kitchen table, with a bench. And then she liked it so much and was using it so much, she came back to Kevin and said, could you put a couple of chairs to go with it? So Kevin did a design, made the chairs, and of course another satisfied customer. But this is really what I want to tell you folks about Kevin, and you can all relate it to yourself wherever you're at in your woodworking thing. Kevin liked woodworking so much that he, like most of us, want to make some money at it. and now Kevin does it part-time at this point. But in the beginning, and this is a few years back, Kevin was writing me and discouraged because people didn't want to pay what he was worth, and they're looking at prices of this particle board furniture and comparing it to what he's doing with the solid woods, and it was very discouraging and very upsetting to him. And I told him he has to be patient. It takes a while to earn a reputation, to find those customers. Because let me tell you, if you start off doing a job for cheap, you will always be known for doing cheap work. Even if your craftsmanship is very high skilled, it'll be cheap prices. If you start off too high, though, with not having a name and reputation, people just aren't going to take you serious. So you got to kind of find this mix. And many times now, I turn down jobs. Because either they're too small or the customer isn't willing to really pay what it's worth. And I turn down jobs because I sometimes just don't flat out have the time. But my reputation is at the point now I do zero advertising. Everything is a referral. So I made one customer happy. Well, their neighbors or their friends or their family then want something. And, you have a price and a level, a reputation that follows with you. And so Kevin is there now. Kevin is getting work in from customers, and it's going much better for him. And who knows? Maybe one day he'll be full-time at this. I'm just glad he's over in California, and I'm in Ohio, so I don't have competition. So, at any rate, thanks, Kevin. Paul Bylin. Paul is making this jewelry box. Has dovetails on it, and oh, you know what? I'm looking here at my notes. And this here says dovetails machine. So I might have had Paul's jewelry box with dovetails and Frank Porter's jewelry box with dovetails mixed up. So Frank, I'm sorry if you did yours by hand, but Paul was the one who did his dovetails by a machine, and looks very nice, of course. Again, doesn't matter how you do them. But what was really nice is, and hopefully his wife doesn't watch the show, but it's a surprise gift for her for their 47th year of marriage, their anniversary. So I hope I didn't let the cat out of the bag too soon there for you, Paul. And so happy anniversary to you, and I'm sure all the viewers watching feel the same. In fact, you know what? Hey, folks, why don't you in the comments below wish Paul a happy anniversary? I'm sure he will like it. I'm sure he will show that to his wife, and then maybe she won't complain that he watches the show so much. So, at any rate, thanks, Paul. Okay, David Meyers. David Meyers. He said he's been watching the show and following me for a while. He watched me over on the I Can Do That series, and he made his version of a clock project that I did on that show. And I was kind of joking with him. I said, "Your clock looks better than mine. Maybe he should have did the show." But at any rate, he said he's really enjoying doing woodworking. And he enjoys the show as well because he says he gets to see what everyone else is doing and walks away excited and encouraged. So, David, thank you for sending in your photos, and we hope to see more work of yours. Let's see. Oh, yes. Okay. Stephane Chatput. Stephane Chatput restored this old school desk, and I don't know if he did it for his niece or nephew or both, but at any rate, he took it, had to repair some of the wood on it, rebuild it, of course, cleaned it all up and painted it, and of course the kids are now enjoying it. And I have a couple of old school desks, one older than that, and I don't know, there's something kind of neat about them, thinking that is how we learned. We would sit in those things for 6 to 8 hours a day, and it was yours, right? I mean, you lift that lid up, and I had your little pencil box in there, and your school books, and your notepads, and erasers. You know, that was your home for that year in school. So anyhow, kind of neat. Kids got a desk from way back when. So thank you. All right, now the last, well, I won't say photo, but the last entry from this week is from Don Bullock. He was our video spotlight on the show before. And again, Don thanked all you viewers for going over and checking it out. And Don did something different here that he was a little bit nervous to give to me. And once I got it, I actually really enjoyed it. So let me show it to you. Don's project and submission was this short little video clip. So here we go.
Hi there, Chad, Safety Dan, and Chopperoos. Welcome to WB Fine Woodworking. Thank you, Chad, for featuring me a few weeks back. I thought I'd share with you my latest shop organization project, and that is these clamp racks for my spring clamps and my bandy clamps. By building them this way, I can take all the clamps to the project, not just one at a time. I have a video of the build over on my YouTube channel, WB Fine Woodworking. You might want to check it out. Oh, and Chad, can't dance, don't ask me.
So there you go. You will be able to see Don's project. When we have it, we'll have the link for his video over there. I thought it was a smart little project too, taking the clamps with you on a project. It's great because I do find myself walking back and forth to them a lot. But what I liked was that idea of a short video. So if you all would like to give me a video, try and keep it around 30 seconds, okay? 30, 35 seconds, try and keep it right around there. If you would like to send a video of a project you made, and there you can explain about it, and we all get to see a little bit about you, the person behind just the piece, I would love it. I think that would be great. So as always, if you would like to send a photo, if you would like to be our viewer spotlight of the week, where we can showcase your websites and social media sites and so on, or if you would like to send in your 30-second video submission, you can do that at stantonfinefurniture@gmail.com. And of course, as always, if you like, and please subscribe. Please tell your friends to really help us grow the show and encourage others to join in on this wonderful thing we call woodworking. And tune in on Wednesday for another After Hours woodworking episode. I've got some neat and fun stuff to show you and tell you. So until then, keep on dancing.